So
and away we go.
Episode 30, part 2. And we're just going to say a few brief words about yesterday's No Kings 3.0 is how they're referencing it. So first of all, that was the first one you hadn't been to, right?
That's the only one I haven't been
Right.
to. And they even had a couple before No Kings that I went to.
Yeah.
There was one that involved veterans, and there was one that was, I forgot what the original rally was called. Now, this one, for a couple different reasons, I didn't go to.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And I didn't attend either, but I will say this is the first one where afterwards, my wife and I were looking at some of the videos, and she said, you know, maybe we should have been there. And unfortunately, my response was, well, it probably won't be the last one. So
no, there'll be more.
Yeah. So it does look like there were larger numbers getting out than ever before, and possibly as many or more good spokespeople like Tim Waltz speaking, Bruce Springsteen performing, etc., etc. So that's good. The thing that disheartened me most, or maybe only actually, is that there were a growing number of people or on the left or pretending to be on the left who are like, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? Well, no, if you're looking at it as this alone is going to change something, then you're absolutely right. But it's not this alone. It's this in addition to voting, in addition to organizing, in addition to do all of the other work that we're doing. Does it make sense?
Yeah, because it's the Gestalt.
Right.
If everybody knows what that means,
but
it's bigger
also
than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, it's also a
needs to
display. It's a display of how many people are aware, how many people are frustrated, how many people are upset. And the larger that display, the more it signals to people, hey, this is not, you're not in your head, you're not wrong, this is real.
Look, it creates a synergistic effect.
Correct, yeah.
It creates a Gestalt. You know, what it does is, like you mentioned, is the combination of all these different things combined is what resistance, requires. I think, some of the things that are required in resistance are a little more forceful.
Yeah.
How forceful? Hey, man, that all depends on the situation. But I certainly caution heavily anything that resembles what happened in France or Russia or China or anywhere else. Because once the violence starts, it's almost goddamn near impossible to stop it. If you don't.
Well, and the other problem with that,
if
or when we get to that point, is that the very people who are currently the most vulnerable will at that time be the most vulnerable. And,
right.
We keep saying, well, we'll get through this. Well, those people won't.
Right.
They will literally not get through this if or when it gets to that level of things.
If resistance does get, a little bit more strong on tactics, you don't want it to be behind a strong armed man or woman even, because that type of personality then becomes cultish, and almost in almost any situation throughout history that I can recall in my mind, turns ugly regardless.
Also, it invites a strong possibility of
usually people like that
get unalived, they get taken out,
they are tyrants.
Or that, yeah. Neither is a good situation. In the one case, that you got somebody you don't want, in the other case,
even if what they're doing is a good cause,
yeah.
Even if initially what their thoughts are, the ideologies, if they seek power, if they seek control, if they seek these things, if they seek fame, and
I'm a fairly normal guy, and I have found once or twice where I started to slip into that. Like on my first Facebook account, I got to the point where I'd be like, oh, here's somebody saying, on the right saying something bad. Hey, all you followers, go sick 'em kind of mentality. And that was almost me like being Trumpish. And you got to watch yourself,
right.
Even the smallest amount of perceived power in one's mind can lead you down some bad roads.
Right. I mean, I can be tyrannical in other ways when it comes to like wanting things done my way when I think is right. Like, hey man, what are you doing, man? But what's that? I can have a short fuse when people do things that I perceive as being kind of weird. I don't think but I've never ever wanted to be the boss. I never wanted to be like, I kind of act like it. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm acting like it, but I'm not like trying to be it.
You don't really want that power. You don't really want that responsibility.
I like to democratize it. I like to say, what do you think?
And
like,
part
wait a minute, you're better than me. You tell me and let me process this.
And part of the problem with governance, and when I say governance, I don't just mean like in this country, and I also include like business and stuff, is the higher you get up, the more the people who would really be good at it know that they don't want that type of responsibility.
Right, that's exactly right.
It's a
the
two-way.
best leaders fall into leadership, not seek it.
Yeah.
There's even been some guys who like kind of even understood that I didn't like in history, but had a really good, healthy attitude about who he put around him, and that was Steve Jobs. And he was like, I want the guys who are smarter than me, and I want people who don't want the position. I'm looking for the guy who's not trying to be the boss and to make him the boss.
That's a good example. I was thinking political, but that's maybe a better example. Yeah.
Political. No, I like everyone. Like I don't know. Obama did speak a lot about democracy.
Well, and if you
and
listen
then I'm
to
not
Tim,
your king, and
if
it's
you
not
listen,
my way. And
if you listen to Tim Waltz, he says some very similar things. Yeah.
Right. Pritzker from Illinois.
Right.
Very similar. They don't want to be a king. They don't want to be a ruler. Trump literally says, "I want to be a fascist." Like like we need a strong man. Like, he idolizes these people. He idolizes Putin. He idolizes historical figures like that. So, yeah, be leery, man. Anytime you hear somebody talking about violence and you hear about, revolution and all these things, put your thinking cap on. Or like think about it. Think about it. What they're saying.
And it doesn't matter what position or how well you know them, just be careful.
What is their motivation?
Now, if there's somebody worth their salt, they'll listen to what you have to say, and they'll be like, oh, I got to watch myself. But oftentimes it's too far gone. So we're starting to wander away from the topic. So
sort of. Okay. I mean, this is about no kings.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
Resistance.
Not all of them. Yeah, you're right.
And look, we talked about the Che Guevara thing last week, and like or did we?
No, we didn't.
So now they want to remove him from everything, right? Out of the schools and books. And let me just finish.
Sure.
The irony of this is that Trump, is a convicted rapist.
Right.
So here in Texas, they're going to remove his name from the street signs and the schools and everything else, right? On an accusation. But I'm sure it's probably true. And there's more than one accusation. It's historically, it looks like this is correct. But once again, like I said, this goes to the mentality of these types of people. Like, man, you got to be leery, man.
Yeah. Well, the comment that I was going to make is about Che. It's kind of along the lines of what you were getting at. But what's interesting is, yes, there are a lot of people, and Gandhi's one, and apparently Che is one. Not Che. What's his name?
Guevara?
Yeah. Anyways, the point is that, yes, when we really dig deep enough, some of these people have done some bad stuff, and I'm not trying to whitewash over what they've done wrong, but they did something right to get them in the spotlight. And then you got somebody like Trump, who he's just a bad guy. Like there is no upside to Trump. There's no, hey, this is the good side, this is the bad side. He's just an evil asshole with too much money and too much and a narcissistic complex. I mean,
now when it comes to some of this stuff, because they try to lump Martin Luther King in with this too.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, we don't know all the details of those situations. Now, when it comes to some of the accusations about Gandhi and Che, those look pretty sinister. Because this is manipulation of younger people and abusing your authority. With Martin Luther King, that could have just been a consensual relationships that he was having.
But once again, even if the worst of what we've heard is true, it doesn't erase the words and the things that he said and the organizing that he did and all of that.
This all goes back to my thing from one of our first episodes where I said, I don't idolize anybody.
Yeah.
I like ideas. I like thoughts. I like positions. I don't like people. I don't.
No, I get your point because people tend to be problematic.
Right, people can be problematic.
So can ideas, but they're easier.
And this is one of those things too that
unravel without the people.
For whatever reason, I think it's this hang-up we have with romantic relationships in our culture and this nuclear family thing that's been developed here, which is not really even normal throughout history. About ownership of your wife or husband and and all this other stuff, and then extending that morality to being this is sort of going off the topic, but I guess not something maybe we can wrap this up real quick. Extending that morality to monogamy, and for some people it appears that for most people monogamy is not the norm. Nearly all half of marriages end up in divorce, usually because of some kind of non-monogamy going on or something like that. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases. There's cheating is 60 to 70% of all marriages at one point or another it happens. So humans by nature don't appear to be monogamous. And they try to hide that, right? Or they do make a commitment and they stick to it and they're fine with it, right?
Or they stick to it and they're miserable.
And they're miserable about it because, right, or they stick to it and they're miserable. I'm not saying that this, there's going to be 10, probably 20% of the population that's just very happily married and they like their monogamy. That's fine. The vast majority don't. They're either miserable in the marriage, aren't monogamous, are lying, cheating. That's why a lot of people are non-monogamous these days, And or throughout history, that was pretty normal. That was normal. Now, there was parts of history where that was bad when we had 40 wives and concubines. And these polycules were actually just nothing more than harems.
Right.
And it wasn't equal. You didn't have some kind of shared upon, agreed upon, equal mutual thing going on, consensual thing. But it appears in this day and age that things are quite, starting to the whole. As everything else gets deconstructed, religion and all this other, so is the nuclear family, so is marriage, so is monogamy. I just want to throw that in there because I think the problem is that people really want to attack people about their sexual,
which is ridiculous on so many levels,
right? Because that morality, right?
Yeah.
Once again, I'm talking about values compared to morality. Values being you don't lie, and you don't. You
don't physically hurt people, cheat, steal, that's it.
Right, you don't
stuff
kill.
like that, yeah.
The core values of humanity. You give people autonomy, as long as they're not hurting anyone, And, that sort of thing. That doesn't break a core value if everyone is involved, is understood, the parameters of what's happening. So this morality, this Christian morality, which is basically what it is.
Pretty much, yeah.
Judeo-Christian, because you didn't see that in, other cultures and societies, throughout history. You can dig into all this and see what I'm talking about. But, marriage and divorce were quite different. In a lot of societies, multiple or polygamy or non-monogamy was the norm. It was pretty normal in Greece. It was pretty normal in Rome. But even if they had wives, how they went about it was probably not good, but you understand.
Well,
I think people are getting my point.
It's just my final point, and then if you've got some, is the at least when it comes to politics, the people most eager to point fingers and make laws, it seems like when you dig into their past, they've got some of the most horrendous shit going on. It's like, really, you know the skeletons in your closet, and you're willing to risk them to point at somebody that's basically doing nothing wrong?
Well, a lot of that is projection.
That's really, that's the word.
Right, that goes to all the projection and all the psychological discomfort that comes with being a narcissistic asshole. But, so, I don't know. I just tossed that in there because I thought it was just kind of interesting that when people attack politicians, they always want to throw something like that out there. And in some cases, it's absolutely warranted, when in a case like Trump.
I did have one last thing. Maybe you've got a response, and then we'll close it. Right. The one thing that has not significantly changed with the No Kings rallies, from what I could tell, is that the makeup of people going out to these rallies is still predominantly middle-aged, middle-class, and older white people. And there are a lot of reasons for it, and we're going to make this video twice as long if we go into them, but I'm just laying that out there.
Yeah, so we went from no kings to attacking what constitutes a king and why people want to be kings, and to be leery of getting behind somebody who wants to just
have that much power.
Flip the script like Animal Farm, and how attacking people for morality doesn't apply to everyone. All right, talk to you later. Bye.